Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Evidence. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to save your machine learning models. So what are we going to talk about in today's video? In today, I'm going to show you how to save machine learning models using JobLib, how to retrieve the saved model using JobLib. I'm going to show you how to save your machine learning model using Pickle, and I'm going to discuss the difference between pickle.dump and pickle.dumps and when to use each. And then I'm going to show you how to retrieve your machine learning model that you've saved using Pickle. And we're also going to discuss the difference between pickle.load and pickle.loads. And we are going to discuss when to use each one. So with that being said, let's go ahead and begin. I have gone ahead and loaded up my model. So I went ahead and run all this code. This code is just preparing the model. And up here I have import joblib. So make sure you have joblib imported into your environment in order for this to work. So I have it up there. I'm gonna put it down here again. Import joblib. And we are gonna begin with how to save your model using joblib. So I have a model up here, and if we go here, you see I have LRC. It's my logistic regression model, and up here I have CVRFC. CVRFC is my grid search CV model, and the estimator for this grid search CV model is random forest classifier. So these are the two models that I have, CVRFC and LRC. So we are gonna start by saving these two models. So we are gonna save the best models using joblib. So to save a model using joblib, you just do joblib dot dump, and then in parentheses you do the name of your model. So in this situation, CVRFC, and I want to save the best model from my random search classifier, from my random forest classifier. So I want to save cvrfc.best estimator, and then the next thing you provide is the location to save it. So I'm gonna create a folder here called models, and I'm gonna save it inside the models folder. So to define the location to save the model, so you just put it dot means the current working directory slash models slash the name of your model. So I want to call this RFC model dot pkl. So models is the name of the folder, RFC model is the name of this model, and dot just means current working directory. So let me go ahead and run this, and that works. And if we go inside the models folder, now we have a model called RFC model.pkl, and if you click it, you can't open it because it's a binary file. So let's go ahead and also save our logistic regression model. Same thing, joblib.dump, and in this situation you provide the name of the model, and then you provide the location of where you want to save the model. Let's get and run it, and right here we have a new model called RFC model.pkl. Okay, so I went ahead and made my mouse a little bit larger so it will make it easier for you to follow along what I'm doing. So now that we have saved the models, we are going to, so to load the models we just saved, you do RFC model. Well, you just give it a name. In this situation, I'm giving it a name of RFC model. You just do joblib dot load, and in parentheses you put in the location of your model. And in this situation, my model is under the models folder. And if you're using VS Code, it even gives you a preview of what should go in here. So I'm gonna do dot slash models and slash rfc model.bkl. So rfc model is equal to joblib.load and then the location of the model. And I'm gonna run this. And this rfc model that I saved up here has been loaded onto this variable rfc model. And let's repeat the same thing for our logistic regression model. So let's call it our model, and let's repeat the same thing, joblib.load, and then dot slash model slash logistic model.pkl. And let's run this. And now the logistic regression model has been loaded here. And you can just type in something like LR model, LR model, and it will let you know like this is it will just give you information about it. So it tells you like this is a logistic regression model, and the solver is LibLiner. So that's really cool. If we change this and let's call it RFC, let's call RFC model, and let's run this, and it tells you that it is a random forest classifier model, and the criteria, it tells you the features for this particular model. So that's really cool. So now let's test the loaded models and make sure it works in like classification, because one of the reasons why you may want to save your model is so that you can use it later to classify other things, other data points. So let's go ahead and test the models to make sure it works. So we'll just call it test RF model is equal to RFC model. That's this model right here. Dot predict, and let's just give it our S test, and let's call the function. Let's go ahead and call this variable, and let's get a result. As you can see, we get a result right here, and you can't see all of it, but these are the predictions. This dot 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 just means there are things that are not shown. If you cast this test RF model into a list, it kind of makes it easier to see the predictions. But even at that, you won't see all of it, but it just gives you a preview. I'll go ahead and delete this cell output. Let's go ahead and test out our logistic regression model. So I'll just call it test LR model is equal to LR model dot predict, and let's make a prediction for our S test as well. And let's go ahead and run this, and let's call it test LR model. It's gonna be similar to what we saw above, so very similar. And if you want to see the full value, you may want to cast it into a list to just make it easier to see. So basically, that's how you save a model using JobLib, and how to load that model using JobLib. So now let's move on to how to save a model using Pickle. So make sure Pickle is imported into your environment. So like I said, there's a difference between pickle.dump with no S and pickle.dumps with an S. And the first one I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you how to save the model using pickle.dump. And this is the syntax for pickle.dump is pickle.dump, then the object you want to save, and then the file name, and then other things. And this syntax simply means to write the Pickle representation of the object to a file. And I'm going to show you how to do pickle.dump, and after I show you pickle.dump, I'll show you how to do pickle.dumps, and I'll show you the difference between them. So beginning with pickle.dump, and with pickle.dump is very simple. You just do pickle dot dump, and in parentheses you put in the object that you want to save. And in this situation, let's just do the linear logistic regression model, and then you do open, and then you put in the name of the file, like the location of the file, and how you want the file to be written. So you do quotes dot slash models, because that's the location of the file, and I want this file's name to be logistic, and I'll just call it pickle dot p, and then you specify the how you want the file to be written. So in this situation, I want it to be written as a binary, so you do quote and then WB. And if you are not familiar with Python open syntax, this WB means write in binary mode. So the W means open for writing, and truncates the file first, which means if I run this twice, the second time I run this is gonna truncate whatever data is in this file before it writes to it again. That's what this W means. And B means binary mode, which means return objects as bytes. And byte is same as string literal, except it's prefixed with a B. So that's what this WB means. So that's it right here. I'll go ahead and run this. And now if we look in our models folder, we have a new file called logisticpickle.p. Now let's talk about pickle.dumps. So pickle.dumps is a bit different. The syntax for pickle.dumps is pickle.dumps and then objects and then other things. This syntax means return the pickle representation of the object as a byte object instead of writing it to a file. So when you're using pickle.dump, like I showed you right here, you are going to be writing the object. You're going to be saving the object as a file. That's the expectation. But when you're using pickle.dumps, you are going to be saving it to a variable. You're going to be returning the object written as bytes. So you'll be saving it to a variable instead of writing it to a file. And if you do pickle.dumps right here with an S, where you provide location to save the model, it's gonna throw an error. As you can see, it throws an error. That's because this is not the parameters required for pickle.dumps. Let's go ahead and remove that S, and let's go ahead and delete this cell outputs. Like I just showed you, if you use pickle.dumps here instead of pickle.dump, whenever you have a file name, it's going to throw an error because dumps is expecting an object and not a file object. So how to use pickle.dumps? It's similar to pickle.dump. You just do pickle.dumps and then you just provide the object, and then you can put in any other parameters that you want, but just the object is what's needed. You can just go ahead and run this, and as you can see, this is the byte representation of the model that we just saved. Now this, as it is right here, is not very useful to us, so we need to save this as a variable. So this is the proper way to use pickle.dumps. You save it to a variable so you can reuse this variable. Let's go ahead and run this. So now we can type in something like test P, and we get the same thing that we got before. As you can see, it's prefixed by bytes. Let's go ahead and clear cell outputs. Let's go ahead and now load the models that we just saved using Pickle, and just to test and make sure it works as expected. So same principle for pickle.dump and versus pickle.dumps also apply to pickle.load versus pickle.loads. So pickle.load reads the pickle presentation of the object from a saved file, and pickle.loads returns the data stored as an object, in this case a variable, but not from a file. And the syntax for pickle.load is pickle.load, and the syntax for pickle.loads is pickle.loads. All right, and let's go ahead and test this out, starting with pickle.load. So how to use pickle.load? You do test underscore load. That's just the name of this variable, and then we just do pickle.load, and then you provide the file location. In this situation, the file location is dot slash models slash this one logistic pickle.p, and then you provide how you want the file to be read. So in this situation, we are doing RB, and the R means open for reading, and this is the default value for a load function if nothing is specified. And then B just means binary mode. Like I said, RB means read in binary mode. Let's go ahead and test this model to make sure it works as expected. Oh, I don't think I actually ran this. Let me go ahead and run it. Oh, I missed something. So I got this error because I didn't do the open function. So let's go ahead and put this in parentheses. And let's do open. And now let's run this. So upon doing some minor Googling, I just found out this error is because the file is not closed. So let's go back up here. Up here, where when I did pickle.dump RRC open, and then this, I didn't close the file. So the best way to change this is to use a context manager with statements. So we just do with open. I just go ahead and copy this. I'm gonna do as F, and then we just do pickle.dump. LRC, and then F. So basically what we are doing here is, I need to spell pickle right. So basically what we are doing here is like we are opening a file in this folder path, and this is the write mode like I explained earlier, and we are calling this folder path this file F, and we are dumping our data of this model in this file right here that we're calling F. Let's go ahead and run this. That works. Now let's go back down here, and whenever you use a with statement like this, it automatically closes the file for you when it's done. So now let's go down here, and let's go ahead and run this again. And now this works. Our test loading the model works. So now let's go ahead and use the model to make a prediction. So let's just do test LR model. Let's got this 2 is equal to test load, and in parentheses we put in test load that predicts, and in parentheses we put x test. So basically I'm just using this as a variable to store the value of this prediction, and test load is the model tested, is the model loaded logistic regression model. And let's go ahead and run this, and now let's do test LR model 2, And now we have our predictions. So we know our model works. Now let's go ahead and do pickle.loads. So pickle.loads, like I mentioned earlier, returns the data stored as an object, aka a variable, and not as a file. Like up here, this object, this is stored as a file. So that's why we were able to use pickle.load. But pickle.loads expect a variable. So the syntax is pickle.loads, then the data, which in this case is just a variable. And if we go ahead and do what we did above, again, it's going to throw an error. And if you notice here, this says pickle.loads instead of pickle.load, and this should throw an error. Yeah, it says no such file or directory. So this is how to properly use pickle.loads. You just do test underscore load. Let's call this 2, and let's do equal to pickle.loads. And then you put in the name of the file. So in this case, test B. So if you remember earlier, we omitted pickle.dumps, right? We saved this logistic regression model to this variable test B. So now we are trying to load test B. And let's go ahead and run that. And now let's use test B. Let's use this model that's been loaded to make a prediction. So we just do, let's call this 3. It's equal to test load 2 dot predict, and in parentheses let's put in s test, and let's run this, and then let's call this variable, and now we have our predictions. So basically the gist of it with pickle is like if you use pickle.dumps, you use pickle.loads. And when you're using pickle.dumps, you save your model to a variable. And when you are using pickle.dump, you save your model to a file and you load it using pickle.load. So very quickly, what did we go over today? We went over how to save your models. I'm using joblib, how to retrieve the saved model using joblib, how to use pickle.dump and pickle.dumps and the difference between them, and how to retrieve models using pickle.load and pickle.loads and the difference between them, and how to resolve an error whenever you can't load your model using pickle.load. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please comment, share, subscribe to the channel. If you want to get access to the notebook I used in today's video, just go to machinelearningeducation.com/free, and here you can sign up and then you can join my community and you get access to free data science resources. And in free data science resources, you get access to a whole lot of things, including this notebook. Any notebook that I use in my YouTube channel and in my blog tutorials will be found here at machinelearningeducation.com/free. Like I said, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.